All right, so now Leah and I are going to remove the sound deadener in here just because I wanted to keep it originally to be more original, but I decided against that and just to replace it with new sound deadener because I think some of the mice and stuff got in here, so urinated on everything. So I think it's holding in the rest of the smell. So it's going to be easy to peel this up. We'll remove all the factory sound deadening, clean it with some rubbing alcohol, and then I'll show you which sound deadener that I decided to go with, which I ordered from Amazon, which is pretty cheap. So let's get started now and then see how it looks after that. What's so funny? I don't think I should, Penny. It's in there good. Oh, it's a 72, but that could be when it was being built.
Oh.
Oh man, that's really easy to get all this up. We got all the sound deadener off the back. I just hit it with a wire wheel on there, as you probably saw in the video. And I just hit the wire wheel where the rust was starting to form. It's just a little bit of minor surface rust of where the rear seat is. So now I'm just going to use a generic paint over rust sort of material and a foam brush just to seal that before we sound deaden it. And that'll just block everything that surface rust wise would be starting with. But other than that, everything else is looking pretty good. I'll hit it right there a little bit. Passenger side floor is really nice. Towards the front of the firewall is perfect. Factory seam sealer still in place. And then I'll do a wipe down of alcohol, and then we'll start putting on the sound deadener over top of that. So this is the sound deadener I ended up going with. It's called Kilmat. Got this on Amazon. I have the 50 mil thickness version, which covers 25 square feet, and also the 80 mil version, which is a little bit thicker and only covers 18 square feet. I'll be using the thicker stuff on the transmission tunnel area to provide more sound deadening for that, probably doubling that up over there and putting that on the wheel wells, since that was pretty thick. Material that we took out was pretty thick, so I'll use that stuff for that, and then the remaining stuff I'll just use one layer on the rest of the floor. And I heard this is plenty just to do one car, but I just want to make sure I got a little bit of thickness on where I needed it, so I ordered both of those. Have this roller here. Basically there's little bubbles that show up on here, these ridges, and you flatten them out, and once they're flattened out, that's when you know that it's sticking to the floor of the car. And then I have just an assortment of these trim tools, and we can get into areas that won't mess up our hands and use it to rub it down that way. So let me open these up, and we'll start probably from the front of the transmission tunnel and then work our way back to the rear. I am going to be putting a little bit of sound deadening up until about that half right there as well, so we don't get that resonance from the exhaust and it sounds nice and clean when you're driving. I'm not affiliated with this company at all. I just decided to get this because this is the best cost to effective ratio, so this is supposed to work really good, and this whole thing cost me for both of them $65 just about on Amazon. It might have been actually less than that because I had to get these two tools from there, and that was another $10. So pretty cheap stuff. We'll see what it works like, but from the reviews I've been reading, it is pretty good versus your brand name competitors for the sound deadening for that, which is triple or quadruple the price. And by the way, this stuff was a total of just under 20 pounds if I would use all of this, which I don't think I'm going to. the stuff that I removed was well over 30 pounds. So it was old, smelly, and probably wouldn't perform as good as this. This is also supposed to be protected from the heat, so you don't have to worry about any of the firewall getting warm in that aspect. This will hold up just well. So this is the 80 mil version here. Comes in this, looks like a 2 foot by 1 foot square section. So we'll just use these, peel them off, and then just flatten these little areas down with that roller. And once these are sunk in, that's when you know that it has bit into the floor and it's permanently there until you ever have to remove them again, hopefully never. Okay, so I replaced this padding underneath here with some fresh stuff. That's the old stuff there. So now I can go ahead and spray some more adhesive on, and then I'll be able to put this in the rear transmission tunnel area, and then I'll be able to put it on the seat, or at least the back portion of the seat, until I figure out what's going on with the carpet. And if I can get new stuff, I'll get new stuff. If not, then I'll put the old stuff in. I'm just gonna spray a little bit of this stuff on. I'm not gonna go too crazy with it. Let this set up for about 5 or so minutes, and then I'll push it down here and then try to put the rear seat on. So take this off here, they are riveted, it looks like. I don't know if this is factory, it looks pretty factory to me, or if this was ever replaced at one point. This outer one actually comes with this chrome. I already did it on the other side, so I kind of know what I'm talking about since kind of learning by trial and error. What I did, I'm gonna grind these rivets out, get the rest of them with some sort of pliers, pull them out, and then I'll be able to replace the other ones with some screws that actually work pretty nicely in there. So grind that out right now. What I'm gonna use for that is this little belt grinder sander deal, and it gets in there perfectly to kind of grind everything out. Here's the new one here. See, it comes with all the new felt and stuff installed already, riveted on, and then brand new fresh chrome piece or stainless steel piece, whatever this is, and then the screws that fit in there too. So instead of the rivets, you use these screws. Now for the fun part, I'm gonna be replacing this door, keeping the original one. I'll re-chrome this eventually down the road, but for now, I have a OER replacement door handle. They're not the best quality in the chrome job, but it'll do. So wipe all the marks off it. Comes with this black thing on the bottom, that guard. It actually has the correct length. This is like a little bit over 6 inches. I had 3 different versions total, the third one being the OER that I ended up with. Tried the cheap ones off of eBay. They were too short, or the second version, they didn't have the right back end on them like this. This one just ended up being just a short one, and I didn't like the feel of it. It was real sharp on the edges.
Like a babysitting you or something.
Alright, so as expected, that was a little hard to close the door, but once it loosens up a little bit, I'll let it sit here and everything, and then it'll take shape over the next couple weeks. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys how I went about attaching this inner window felt seal. So all you need are some needle nose vice grips and a pair of other pliers like this that have kind of like a curve to them. How this attaches, see there's like some thick staples that go through this. The kit that I ordered, which is actually a really nice kit, came with these staples, came with the screws for the outer door panel window felt seal as well, and it even came with the drill bit to go ahead and pre-tap your holes and to install the staples. Flip this over, put it on something soft, make sure you have some padding on it. And then I put the edge that goes towards the rear of the seats, I just made sure I put that back as far as I can. And then this front one falls wherever, and this actually is where the weather stripping overlaps it, so it's covered up pretty nice. And then the first one's your hardest one. So I just follow the factory staple marks and put it kind of close to it, but don't use the same ones, obviously, because those are ripped up from pulling the old one off. So I just put it next to it, and then I space it out accordingly. I start in the center. Once I line this rear one up, I start in the center and work my way out. All right, so you can see nice and tight where I have the clamp, not coming off already. It's going to be hidden when the window is pushing against it, but here is the staple and what it looks like. So kind of tedious, but that's what you have to do with these. There's no tool that I see or anything like that to use. This isn't too bad, you just have to take your time. So now I'm going to work my way from the center out and making sure I push up against this really good as I work my way down, and then I should be all set. So I had to take all this stuff off again because I realized when I closed the door, still breaking in, this weather stripping, I corrected it now, but this weather stripping and the window were not making contact and they were not sealing. So I had to get the adjustments that were underneath here. So these two right here and these two bolts right here. If you push it in, the window then will go, the top of it will tilt in. So that's the adjustment I made there. And I also adjusted, there's these stops right under here, if you can see that. So right there and right there, I adjusted so that the window can raise up a little bit more. That kind of just, I think it just stops the window from getting raised up too much. So I adjusted those two, and then I moved the window back a little bit. So these two right here, pushed it back, and then it was able to seal a little bit better on this end because it was just too far forward. So now everything should be sealed up, and I can finally put on the door cards. I already tested the other one. The other one's actually perfect, so I don't need to even touch that one at all. It actually seals a little bit better.